Welcome to In Her Voice. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am passionate about helping women live authentically by listening to their inner voice. Get ready to be inspired by women of all walks of life that have set aside their should-bes and not good enoughs and are standing in their true voice, the voice of wisdom that each and every one of us has inside. Hello, everyone. Welcome to In Her Voice, episode 40. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am your host and guide today as we talk about manifesting with joy. You guys are going to love this interview with Pam Grout. But before we dive into today's interview, I want to let you know that the doors to the Inner Circle, my mastermind style group coaching and accountability membership group, are open, and the new members are starting to flow in, and every time someone new joins, I just get so excited. It's going to be such a great group. And I've been talking with a lot of women, answering questions about what the Inner Circle is all about. And someone asked me what kind of women the Inner Circle is for. Like, is it for entrepreneurs, or is it women who work in the corporate world, or moms, or, what is it? Who is it for? And that's the really great thing about the Inner Circle. It's going to be a diverse group of women that are brought together by the fact that you are smart, you are intelligent, and you have amazing things to offer to this world, and you're ready to take action. You're ready to listen to your inner voice and say, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow through. No matter how scary, no matter how hard. And that's what the group is about, is supporting that action. And it can look like anything. It might be business related. It might be a physical goal. It may be a goal of finding clarity on your purpose. Or maybe it's really working on your worthiness, owning that and stepping into that every day. We are going to come together and support each other in taking powerful action towards all of these things. And the cool thing is, everyone will be bringing their own gifts to the table as well and contributing to the group in that way. So I'm really excited about the dynamic of this group that's forming. So if you are interested, if you're ready to take action on what your inner voice is asking you to do, if you're ready to follow through, if you're ready to do it, and I know you guys know that feeling I'm talking about, I want you to head on over to kellycovert.com/inner circle, and you can join there. You can also learn more about the details and all of that good stuff. So the doors are open until September 18th, 2017. So go ahead on over. Don't wait until Monday. Don't miss out. But if you are listening to this after that, you can still go on over and put your name on the wait list for the next time the doors open, which will be in 3 or 4 months. So once again, the URL is kellycovert.com/inner circle, all one word. Now let's get down to this fantastic interview with Pam Grout. Pam Grout is a hopeless romantic who still believes the world is a beautiful place, that people are noble, and that anything is possible. Seriously, don't you love her already? For a living, and she always wonders why people think that's such an important question, she writes books and articles for magazines like People, Cooking Light, and Travel and Leisure. She also enjoys writing bedtime stories for her daughter, but that's more about making a life than a living. She's keenly aware there's a huge difference. In making a life, she has traveled to all the world's continents, learned 59 ways to make a fort out of a sofa cushion, and perfected a mean tennis forehand, all while volunteering at a women's prison and a free health clinic. A few of my favorite books that Pam has written, and the reason that I asked her to be on In Her Voice today, are Think and Grow Rich and E Squared. And we talk about both of those in the interview. And just a heads up, this episode is both practical and spiritual. And Pam uses the word universe to describe that higher power that always wants good for us. And I just want to encourage you guys to please feel free to substitute any word you feel most comfortable with, like God or higher power or whatever that might be. I want you to be able to fully soak in all that she is saying without getting caught up in the semantics. So anyway, you guys are going to totally love Pam. She is just so full of joy, and you're going to learn a lot too. So here we go with Pam Grout. Welcome to In Her Voice, Pamela Grout. I am so thrilled to have you on the show with me today.
Hey, I'm thrilled to be here. In fact, no one's called me Pamela since my mother probably when I was 4 and I got in trouble or something. But anyway, I guess that is my...
I will only call you Pam then from now on.
Well, some people call me Pammy. Well, that's just a couple friends. But yeah, no, you can call me Pamela. You can call me anything, really. I answer to most everything.
Fantastic. Well, we'll see what flows off of my tongue as we go. I invited you on the podcast today to share with my listeners of In Her Voice all about this idea of manifesting, about the idea that the universe has our back and that we can be creating the lives that we want. And particularly, I think it's interesting to think of the juxtaposition of manifestation and how we can use our inner voice to help us with that. So I thought that I would start out by asking you if this idea of listening to your inner voice, of creating the life that you want to be living, was something that you always have known, or was it something that you learned through an experience or an event in your life?
Well, I think the way I access my inner voice is through writing. In fact, to me, writing and spirituality are very much the same. I think we all access our inner voice in different ways, but for me, I've always been a writer. I was a reader from the time I was really young, and I think anybody that reads a lot of books eventually thinks, I think I could write. So I started writing books, like little books when I was in 2nd grade, like Patty the Penguin and Blackie the Bear, and I illustrated them, and that was just a thing I've always loved to do. And I think the reason I love it is because then I am hooked up to that inner voice. It's like it's not even me speaking. I mean, it is, but it's like the bigger thing speaking through me. So I feel like sometimes I'm more of a channel. In fact, I think it was Joyce Carol Oates said she always kind of wonders why people make a big deal about her being a writer, because really she's just the hose through which it comes through. And that's really how I feel. I'm just kind of here to channel. And I do think my most authentic voice, the voice that I want to, send out to the world, the voice of love and connection and all those kind of things, does come when I'm writing. I mean, that's my particular way of hooking up with my inner voice.
Yeah, I actually feel the same way for me. I do a lot of journaling. I haven't written any books yet, but I think that that's in my future.
Oh, excellent.
Absolutely, just this idea of putting pen to paper and letting that flow really helps me connect with my inner voice as well. So you've been a writer for a number of years. You've written a huge variety of things. And before you wrote E Squared and Think and Grow Rich and E Cubed, which are all about the amazing manifesting powers of the universe and of ourselves, your books were about traveling and this and that. So I wonder what brought you to that topic.
Well, even before E Squared, I've written several books that would fall into the inspirational self-help genre. My books have always been kind of divided evenly between travel and inspirational. Like before E Squared came out, I had written a book about breathing practice, but it's about inspiration, like thinking, how you're thinking, and about breathing connects you to, that deeper part of yourself. Mm-hmm. And I'd also written a book about called Art and Soul, which is a book about creativity and spirituality. In fact, that book is just coming out again. It's been re-released next Tuesday, actually. So I have always written about other topics. I wrote a book called Living Big about the power of one person to make a difference. So I always did travel writing, and I always, did like personality profiles. And really, when you're a freelance writer, you'll write about anything that anybody wants to pay you to write. But my kind of specialties were always sort of travel and, inspirational writing. So E Squared wasn't the first inspirational book that I did, but the principles that I talk about in E Squared, those are principles that I've used in my own life to great success. I mean, I am just a kid from Kansas, and I've been able to, travel to all the world's continents. I've been able to, publish, this is my 19th book, this one that comes out next Tuesday. So I've been able to do all these things by using these principles that I write about. And one of the things I say in E Squared, and I really believe this from the bottom of my heart, these principles should be taught along with reading, writing, and arithmetic. I mean, here's the thing. We're all using the substance of the universe. We all are doing it. I mean, we can't not do it. But the problem is we don't understand how it works, and so we're actually creating things that maybe we don't even want. It's like we're using this power that we have, or this ability that just comes with our with being human. And because we spend so much time thinking about problems and what's not working and all this kind of stuff, we're actually creating our reality, but we're creating a reality that really isn't serving us. So I think it's important for us to realize how this works and to, figure out how to best use it for our, for the best life that we can lead.
Totally. So for my listeners who maybe haven't read E Squared, do it, by the way, but if you haven't and maybe aren't super familiar with the idea of manifesting or the law of attraction, can you give us like a quick rundown in Pam language of what that is, those principles?
Oh, wow. Pam language, huh?
Yeah, because I love the way you describe it in your books. It's so great.
Yeah. Well, what E Squared is there's 9 do-it-yourself energy experiments, and it's called E Squared because it's a takeoff on Einstein's E equals MC squared. And again, these are laws of the universe. And in fact, when I first wrote the book, I didn't even know there was a thing called the law of attraction. Of course, then The Secret came out and it became this huge big thing, and everybody knows the law of attraction. So that is what I was talking about. But I didn't use it in those terms. I guess the idea is that what we focus upon expands in our life. We animate into our reality anything we put our attention upon. So, in the big quantum field that, more than 100 years ago, they realized there's this bigger thing going on in the universe, this giant quantum field, and there's all these possibilities in it. And the observer, by looking at something, by focusing on something, we actually make it solidify, and it turns into a material thing. So, this is a quantum physics principle that nobody understands exactly how it works, but it is true that whatever you put your attention upon, you animate into your life. So if you put your attention upon all the problems, and that's really the state of our world. We always think about, I need to lose weight, or I didn't get up early enough, or, it just goes on and on and on, all the problems. Oh, my kids are doing this, or, my job, my boss isn't fair. The state of the world, look at the news. It's all about problems. So what I encourage people to do is to move from what I call problem state, which is the state of the world, problem state, like let's figure out what's wrong and let's try to fix it, but to move it into possibility state. And that is where everything is possible. And once you open up to unlimited possibilities, then you can change whatever you've cemented in, or whatever you've observed into your life, whatever you've animated into your life, by literally looking for different things. Like I open up to all the possibilities.
Yeah. And it's so exciting. And I think what to me also magnifies this power is when we start to shift that perspective, like you said, from problem state to possibility state, we also instantly shift our emotions from negative to positive. When we're in this place of believing that all things are possible, that feels really amazing. And even though we haven't seen those things manifest physically, we still feel the positive emotion of knowing that they're out there and that it's possible. Don't you think?
Oh, definitely. And once you get into that sort of, I call it frequency. I compare it a lot to like radio frequencies, like or TV frequencies. You can't watch ABC if your, remote is dialed into CBS. You can't listen to PBS on the radio station if you're dialed into 89.2 or whatever it might be. So you have to be in a particular frequency, and all of us are emitting a frequency. And when we start looking for what can go right instead of what can go wrong, we emit this different kind of frequency, and amazing things start happening. Literally, like books will fall off the shelf at the bookstore, or you'll just happen to meet somebody at a party that happens to know about this job that you'd be perfect for, or mean, just miraculous things start happening. And what I believe, we are connected to everything in the universe. And the universe is a beneficent universe that wants to bless us, that wants to guide us, that wants to lead us in all these ways. But because we're so focused on this very limited problem state, we can't see all the gifts and all the signs and all the things that the universe is trying to give to us. It's trying to bless us with. I mean, we literally are blinded to all the possibilities because, okay, I did a blog post today and I talked about, it's almost like, in the infinite field, there's really infinite. I mean, we can't even get our minds around infinite. But so I kind of said, okay, well, think about it. It's a deck of cards. Once you pick the 3 of clubs, that's all you see. And you forget that there's 51 other cards in this deck. And that's kind of what we've done in our life is we pick a card and then we look at that card and we tell our friends about that card and we get on, LinkedIn groups about that card, what that card's saying that card might be a problem or the way we see our life now, when there's all these other possibilities of how they could be. But once you start thinking of yourself as living a blessed life, I mean, literally, if you think everything that happens, even if it might be something you didn't think you wanted, but if you see it as a blessing that's actually enabling you to grow into the best person that you can be, then you start realizing, and once you get on this particular frequency of realizing you're living a blessed life, I mean, just the fact that we woke up this morning, that we have these, 24 hours. I mean, how cool is this that you and I are able to talk to each other over computers? I mean, even if it did take us a little while to get on, but these are just miraculous things. And we get so busy worrying about the problems and what's not working that we fail to notice these just incredible things that are happening all the time.
Yeah. And it's so exciting. And I love this that you're digging into the concept of radical gratitude. So not just gratitude for your morning cup of coffee, which we're all grateful for that. That's easy to be grateful for, right? But you're grateful for those situations that you find yourself in. You're grateful in the hard places because you know it's happening for a reason and that there's going to be something amazing coming out of that.
Right. And even if, when something happens that we might want to leap to judgment about, because that's what we do. I mean, we think our job here is to judge and compartmentalize and to, figure everything out. But once we don't do that, whatever happens, if we see the possibility in it, for example, I mean, here's when people, let's say you get fired from your job. Well, immediately you're going to freak out. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. And you tell everybody how terrible it is. But I always say to people, well, instead of just leaping to that, oh, ain't it awful thing, how about considering the possibility that this might be leading to a job that's pays more, that's closer to your home, or any number of possibilities. But immediately when something happens, once we judge it, all we can see are the problems with it instead of the new beginning that it's actually offering. And I mean, every single thing that happens offers a new beginning if we look at it that way, including each and every day. I mean, we can get up in the morning and unless we just start, looking for the same old things that we looked for yesterday, things can be completely different. And that's why this is so exciting. But it's a foreign concept because we tend to get up and we tend to reload every single thing that we believed was the way it was yesterday. So of course we keep seeing repeats over and over and over again. But we literally can pluck out from this infinite field of possibilities whole new ways of being. And that to me is so exciting.
It's super exciting. And I'd love for you, if it's okay with you, to share, can you share a personal story about a miracle that has come to you in this way?
Well, I've had so many miracles. In fact, I kind of see everything as a miracle. Like sometimes when I tell people the story of my life, like when I was 7 months pregnant, I was single, I was driving across the country. And when you hear that, you go, wow, that sounds really awful. Poor thing, she's 7 months pregnant. She's driving across the country with her possessions in her little Toyota. She doesn't know where she's going. She's about to have a baby. I mean, that sounds pretty awful. But even when I think back about that, I don't know. It's like, man, I was blessed in so many ways. But by being open to that possibility, and I started studying the Course in Miracles very dutifully at that time. And realizing, this thing that joy is my natural state and that, the universe is wanting to bless me and to really wrap my arms around that. And it's been nothing but blessing after blessing after blessing once you start expecting that and looking for that. We literally get what we go out looking for. I mean, it's just the truth. If we look for doom and gloom, we get doom and gloom. If we look for joy and possibilities, we get joy and possibilities. I mean, our minds are that powerful. We literally magnetize into our lives whatever it is we're looking for. But I don't know if that actually answered your question. Some of the great miracles. Well, I tell the story in E Squared about, I was just kind of getting into some of these principles, that what you focus on expands, and, putting your trust in the bigger thing in the universe and asking for help from this, this bigger, higher force that we're all connected to. And so I used to have a calendar. I still have a calendar, but I don't hang it on my wall anymore. But anyway, it was hung on my wall, and it was hung on my wall with a little tiny nail. And then I would get it, that calendar off, and I'd write down if I had a dentist appointment or if I had a date with somebody, or, just kind of keeping track of my life. It was my little calendar. So one day I had pulled it off the wall, to write down, and then I lost the little nail. I pulled it off a little too hard, and the nail, I couldn't find it. So I spent, an hour on the floor in the carpet, trying to find that nail, and it just wouldn't show up. So finally I said, I spent an hour looking for this nail. I'm just going to give it up to the higher forces and let it show me what to do. I'm going to let it help me find it. So I go to bed, because this is later at night. The next morning I woke up, and that little nail, it was like those little tiny brad kind of nails, it was nestled between my thumb and my forefinger. I literally woke up with it in my hand. And that was kind of a pretty remarkable miracle. It's like, wow, how did that happen? And the miracles that I hear from people every day are so cool. I get so many emails, since I wrote this book, it's been translated into 40 languages, and so many people have read it, millions of people have read it. So I get all these emails, and they often start with something like, you are never going to believe this. So I get all these stories, from people, these, remarkable things that happen. And one of the things that I often like to say, and it's kind of a joke with me and what I call my possibility posse, is we say, well, duh, kind of like Phoebe Buffay used to say on Friends. But it's like, this stuff is natural, but we have to, remove the blocks, remove the blinders that don't allow it into our awareness. So that was one small little example, but I've had so many miracles. I mean, just the fact that, here's one, like with E Squared, it came out on the 23rd or 28th, anyway, sometime in January of 2013. So on New Year's Eve, the month before, I was out in Savannah, Georgia, visiting my sister. And so I took a big stick, and on Tybee Beach, the beach at, Tybee Island, I wrote E Squared in the sand with a big stick. E Squared will be an international bestseller. And then I let, the waves come in and take it out into the world. And sure enough, within 4 or 5 months, that book is starting to, pick up all this buzz on the internet, and eventually became #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. And so that was an instance where I gave it up to the universe and said, okay, I don't know how this is going to happen, but here's my affirmation. Here's what I'm going to do. And I didn't put a lot of worry into it. I think what happens sometimes with manifesting, we start, I want to manifest this, but then we're really more aware of how it's not manifested. Right. So even though we think we're trying to manifest it, our consciousness is really focusing on the lack of whatever it is we think we're wanting to manifest. But in this case, I just did that. It was just a subtle thing. And then I was busy at that time, doing travel writing. I went off to the Cook Islands soon thereafter, and, was just doing all this other stuff. So I wasn't really thinking about it or obsessing about it or, wow, what's going to happen here? And then, it allowed the universe to do it for me, because that's one of the big keys. I often call it set it and forget it. I don't know if it was George Foreman that had that set it and forget it grill, or crock pot principle. Yeah, but like the less we get involved, like somebody said, the how is not up to me. The what is up to us. We decide what we want to manifest, and then if we don't, if we can keep our sticky little paws off of it, then the universe can deliver it up for us in the best and easiest way. So that's kind of, I guess, one of the little things I like to do, or what I've discovered in my own life that seems to work the best.
Yeah, and I think it's about, and sometimes this is the spot in my manifesting practice where I get stuck. It's the allowing spot. Like, I want to be in charge of everything.
Oh, exactly. We all do. We want to hang on to that steering wheel.
Yeah, and so it's like you have to put it out there, and then you just have to trust it, and you have to stay in that place of believing and knowing that it's coming. And then that's when we allow it to come in.
Right. And knowing that we are blessed. I mean, really, if we get how blessed we are, if we could really feel that deep in our bones, how totally blessed we are, then it can come in easily. But, a lot of us feel like, we're a little bit of victims here, or, this little thing didn't, I don't know. We just forget to realize how very blessed we are, and knowing that the universe is going to deliver it up on a silver plate in the very best way that will serve us, the very, very best way. And having that faith, it kind of lets us, go off, and I could go off to the Cook Islands. I didn't have to sit here and, get on Twitter and start tweeting out all these things about my book. I didn't have to, I did write blog posts because I love doing it, and Hay House has suggested I do that. But I didn't do all the marketing things that people say you need to do. I went off and led my life and didn't, get too terribly involved. Yet I just was in such a good space, a good frequency, feeling happy and joyful that literally good things had to come in. Because again, we're just literally seeing out in our life, a reflection of what's in our consciousness inside.
Right. Well, so how do you teach people to build their faith? Because I think that's probably one of the hardest things, because if you have an experience of things not going the way that you want them to go, it's easier to put faith in what you know rather than in what you don't know. So how do you even build that faith?
Well, I think it's a little bit like building any muscle. As the more you can let go of control, and then you start seeing how things are kind of working out for you. That's a good affirmation. A friend of mine in my possibility posse, I think Esther Hicks might have said this, but that thing, everything is always working out for me. So anyway, my friend in my possibility posse made all of us in our group this little thing that she put in the windshield of your car, and it's kind of backwards or mirror image. And so it shows on your windshield this thing, everything is always working out for me. But if you really knew that everything is going to work out, it's like, why would you worry about anything? And anytime we worry about something, we literally are putting energy into that reality. Because, worry is an energy. This is all energy. We are energy, are constantly, sending out energy waves, just like, a radio tower sends out radio waves, just like a magnet sends out radio waves. We are sending out waves all the time. And worry puts energy into the worry waves, the waves that will, create blocks and hindrances and that kind of thing. So I know it sounds so simple, and a lot of people don't want to really believe it, but just really believing that you're blessed and saying thank you. There's a story I told in my book, Think and Grow Rich, about this guy. He was a billionaire in Japan. He was in his 80s now, and he's just basically, giving back. But he has a thing, he says arigato, which of course means thank you in Japan, but he just says it over and over and over again. And in fact, one of the things he got kind of wealthy on is he made these cookies that were fed to children, but while the people were making them, he had a big bakery. It's one of his many businesses. But anyway, he had this recording, so while his workers were making the cookies, they were hearing this tape recording of arigato, arigato, just happy, beautiful music. And so they were putting that good energy into the cookies, and the kids were eating that. So anyway, he's just really big on saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Sometimes I love to play pickleball, and I run down there in the morning because the pickleball courts are just right down from my house, and I'll just be kind of doing the happy dance as I run down to the pickleball court saying thank you, thank you, thank you. So I don't know, just kind of fine-tuning that gratitude muscle. And it really sounds too simple to be true, and that's the problem. I think a lot of people, oh no, I need to have 7 steps. I need to have, I need 4 things to do today, or I need this and that. But it's so simple by just simply becoming more grateful, by realizing that you're blessed. It changes everything. And it's just it's so simple that people don't want to believe it.
Right. And that's what your book, Think and Grow Rich, is all about, is basically 30 days of really practicing radical gratitude. And I did it last year for 30 days, and my gratitude practice has extended well beyond that, because it brings so much joy. I almost want to say to people, this is a thing. Who cares if you don't get what you're asking for? Because you're going to feel so good while you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really, really awesome and powerful stuff. So if you could say to my listeners, if you could give them like the number one practice that we should be doing, or that we could be doing to really start to shift this, super practical, what would that be?
Well, I've talked about this before, but since I don't know that I've ever said this to your viewers or listeners, I will tell them about my AA 2.0 program. And this is the one that I suggest people do for 30 days in Think and Grow Rich. And this is something that I believe changed my life, but it's called AA 2.0. That's what I dubbed it. But basically, it's so simple. There's the 12-step AA program. Well, that's 12 steps. But again, I think things should be smooth and easy. So I started a 2-step program. So my AA 2.0 is a 2-step program. And so it's so simple that, again, people might might be tempted to not use it. But the first thing I do every morning is I get up in the morning, my eyes open, I go, wow, something amazingly awesome is going to happen to me today. That's just an affirmation. That's just like steering my attention to all the miracles in the world. I started this about 4 years ago. I've gotten tired of saying amazingly awesome. So now I say something extraordinarily epic is going to happen to me today. And in fact, at one time, my daughter and I, last year, we were in Barcelona and we went through the entire alphabet and we came up with, things to say that. But the way the AA 2.0 started, because it was amazingly awesome. And so I would say that every morning. And then the AA may not be grammatically correct, but it was just, kind of a fun thing. So that was step one. So it's like setting your day up for looking for miracles. And the second step, and again, this one's super easy too, 3 blessings that happened to me from the day before. And the thing that's different about this particular gratitude practice is it has to be something different. Because I've always been big on gratitude. Oh, I'm so grateful for my career. Oh, I'm so grateful for my daughter. Oh, I'm so grateful for, kind of the same old stuff that we always say. But in this practice, it has to be a new thing every day. So I'm out there scouting blessings and miracles. That's the focus of my life, is looking for these blessings and miracles, because I've got this possibility posse that's expecting me to check in each morning with some really cool thing that happened to me. And likewise, they're sending them back to me. So that's just like such a simple little practice, but it literally can change your life. And I guess, again, I just want to say to people, don't discount this and think, oh, that's just too easy. That can't work. It can work miracles. Just try it. And see, that's the other thing about my books. I don't say, this is the dogmatic truth and you better believe it. What I do is I offer people an idea and I say, test it out for yourself. I have the experiments. I set them up like scientific experiments. It's like, here's a hypothesis. Here's my hypothesis. This is what I think is how the world works. This is my hypothesis about, in my experience, how the world works. So I encourage you to try this for, an e-squared is just 48 hours. The gratitude experiment is just 30 days. These are all really easy things for people to do. And what do you have to lose? You have absolutely nothing to lose. It's completely free to try it. If it doesn't work, you can go on your merry way and you never have to think about it again. If it does work, and like I said, you very likely may be sending me an email saying, you are never going to believe this, stepping in line with everybody else that's been sending me all the emails. But anyway, so I just want people to give it a try. I'm not trying to say I'm right, this is the way it is. I'm saying give it a try. What do you have to lose?
Exactly. And I really hope that you guys will give it a try. And even though Pam just spilled the whole secret of her Think and Grow Rich book, you should go get it because there's other good stuff in there too. So Pam, this has been so wonderful. And I'm hoping that you can share with our listeners where they can find you online and where they can, learn about all of your books and the things that you're doing.
Yeah, well, probably the easiest way to find me is if you know my name. It's Pam Grout. It's spelled Pamgrout. You can find my blog, and from my blog, you can get connected to everything. I put out these, messages 2 or 3 times a week, depending on, what I'm doing, what other things I've got going on. But they're just little nuggets, and it's free inspiration. It talks a little bit about what I'm doing, and it's just kind of like a tidbit of, happiness or whatever for the day. So that's pamgrout.com. I'm also at Twitter, Pam Grout. I have a Facebook page, Pam Grout. So if you know my name, you can pretty much figure it out. I will mention, though, that this new book's coming out. It comes out next Tuesday, and I'm doing a Facebook Live, my very first Facebook Live on the Hay House page next Tuesday. Although I don't know when this will actually broadcast, so maybe it will be too late. But I think once a Facebook Live comes out, then, it's there for posterity. But anyway, so it's about this new book that debuts on the 22nd. It's all about creativity and spirituality and how, in many ways, like I said, when we began, that's how I accessed my inner voice, was through my creativity, was through my writing, and that all of us have access to this thing. And I think the muses right now are really advertising, looking for people to spread this message of love and connection and peace. And I think there's, it's really high time on this planet that we need to get this other story out there. So this is a way of, enlisting others to, help get the message out there.
I love it. And the name of that book is Art and Soul, right?
Reloaded. Art and Soul Reloaded.
Reloaded. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And I will link to all of those things on the show notes page at kellycovert.com. So you guys, if you can't remember Pam's name, you can certainly go to my website and find all of those links and everything that we've talked about today. So Pam, I have one last question for you before I let you go. And that is, what is your inner voice telling you in your life right now?
My inner voice is telling me to rest a little bit right now. I had these 4 books like boom, 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 boom. So I'm kind of a little bit on a hiatus from doing a lot of things. I'm continuing with my travel writing. I've got a television series that I wrote maybe 10 years ago, and I'm kind of creeping back into that. So that's something my inner voice is kind of taunting me with at the moment. But right now I'm a little bit on vacation. I'm, still doing some workshops and that kind of things, but I don't have a particular book in the pipeline, and that's just the way I want it for right now. I mean, I've got the one that comes out Tuesday, but I don't have, the next one planned. Usually I'm, as soon as I finish one, I've got another one ready to go. But again, I try to listen to, those deeper voices. And, right now, like I said, I'm just a little bit in a hibernation period.
Yeah. And I think if more of us listened to our inner voice when she told us to rest, we would be happier and we would be more creative and we would be bringing amazing things out into this world. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I just want to acknowledge and honor you today. Thank you for spending your time with us today to share your amazing energy. Like, I feel so energized. I've just been on the edge of my seat for this entire time that we've been talking. And I am just really honored to have you here. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. And have a great day, everybody.
Yes, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Pam. I told you guys it was really good. I told you it was really good. And listen, it's such a dream for me, a dream come true to be able to interview people like Pam, who I read their books and I'm inspired by them. And, they're just real people. She's just real like us. And she has so much to share. And I really hope that you guys will take some of the practical things that she talked about and start applying them, because they are so easy and it makes such a difference. Like this idea that we have a gratitude muscle, and the more we use it, the more we work it out, the more grateful we are, the easier it is to see gratitude. And so really using that in our lives to start looking for things that are right and looking for those miracles every day. So I just want to encourage you to just put that into practice. Like she said, just try it. Just do an experiment, a week or 30 days if you want to do something really crazy, and see how it will change your life, because I really believe that it does. And you'll start to see all these amazing miracles just begin to show up in your life. And the thing is, a lot of them were there already. So as this happens to you, I hope that you'll let me know. Let me know, hey, I listened to that interview with Pam Grout, Kelly, and it was so good. And I practiced the gratitude. And then I started just manifesting all this amazing stuff in my life, like waking up with the lost thing in your hand. Wasn't that so cool? So anyway, I hope that you guys loved that interview as much as I did. And as always, if you have things you want to tell me, if you're inspired or you have an idea for someone to come on the podcast or a topic that you want me to talk about, please let me know. And the easiest way to do that is just to shoot me an email at kellycovert.com. It's super easy. I also have a contact page on my website where you can shoot me a message. And let me know what you love about In Her Voice, or an aha that you had, or something that inspired you. I just would really love that. And I appreciate you guys so much listening and being there and really taking these practical things and applying them in your life, because that's what it's all about. So don't forget, the doors to the Inner Circle are open until September 18th, kellycovert.com/inner circle. If you're looking for that next level of support and accountability and taking action in your life, the Inner Circle is just for you. Always remember, you matter. Your joy matters. Your happiness matters. And when you look for that, you will find it. And you deserve that. You know why? Because you are worthy.